WWII Media LLC presents the Forgotten Heroes interview series featuring Johnny J. Vickers, Part 4.
What did he experience coming home from the war?
Man, that's a loaded question. But I can tell you this, as I said before, I didn't know him personally. I really only got to know him later in life, only because of my research and doing my genealogy. The thing that I can say, I guess more or less I'm paraphrasing from the articles that I've clipped out about a lot of the Tuskegee Airmen and the interviews that we've had up at Gillespie Field, plus up at University of California, Riverside, and what they are saying. I mean, in other words, they can go from one to the other. They're all going to tell you approximately about the same treatment they had, which was really bad. And that's why some of them were saying, well, what in the hell did we go over there fighting for? I mean, we come back here, we're supposed to have eliminated all the discrimination and the poverty and the discrimination that we had before we left. Here we are coming back to the same thing. A good example, I was reading, it's in one of the books I was reading. Most of them, I think, came back on a ship. So they pulled into New York. And now they were supposed to be going up to an airfield, I think in Ohio, for further training. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but when they started off the gangway, down at the end of the gangway, they had this sign says, pointing, white soldiers go this way, colored soldiers go that way. Well, they took them out, and these guys got to ride nice buses over to where they were going at this one air station they were going to go for further training. These guys had to march. And when I say these guys, that meant the guys that came off that gangplank and the sign pointed colored this way. That's what it is. Well, anyway, they went to this air base and they said, okay, you're going for further training because we're going to send you over to Westpac over in the Western Hemisphere. Well, your instructors are going to be these people here. Well, come to find out, the instructors, they'd only been in the Air Force about 3 months. These guys have spent 3.5 years over. I mean, a lot of these guys are going through training were aces. I mean, at least 2, 3, 4 planes that they shot down. Now you have to wonder, what can they teach? I mean, as far as tactics about fire, fighting in the sky and everything. Well, anyway, then they also humiliated them again by telling them, okay, you guys can't come to this mess hall. You can't come to this theater. If you do come to this theater, you're going to have to sit upstairs. And you only can use the PX on certain days. So naturally, you can imagine they were irate. Even I can imagine reading it. So I said, man, you talking about humiliation. Well, anyway, they decided they weren't going to take it. So they turned around and they decided, well, we won't cause a mutiny. What we will do, we will march every place that we want to go, to the mess hall, to the theater, to the PX, by twos. We'll march. Well, that went on for a few days, and then the brass there at the base, now they're still trying to keep them out from using these things. So the one thing, I think the third day, they were still going, marching 2 at a time. So they stuck the MPs and the provost marshal in front of the mess hall. This big incident happened in front of the mess hall. Well, it just so happened, if they considered the ringleader as a man by the name of air pilot by the name of Roger Terry. He decided he was going to go around the provost marshal. Well, what he did, he brushed against his shoulder. Well, then the MPs and the provost marshal charged him that he hit the provost marshal, which was untrue. All he did was brush against him trying to go in the mess hall. So then they decided they were going to court-martial I think it was 120, I'm going to say 121. Well, the news got out, what happened got out into the news world and everything, so then the brass at the base got all scared and they decided, well, maybe we better back off. That's too harsh to court-martial 121 guys. So they decided they would give 120 of them. Now, don't quote me on this figure because I'd have to look, but it seems like it's someplace there at the figure. So they decided they reprimand the 120 guys. But Roger Terry became the scapegoat. So he was court-martialed, fined $118. So then, naturally, after the war was over and everything, he got out of the service, and then he went up to Los Angeles, and he started going to school at UCLA. And I can tell you more about what took place afterwards and everything, about Roger Terry and some other things I had. But all of those people I forgot. Roger Terry had this court-martial over his head for 50 years. And he didn't get it resolved until 50 years later. And Bill Clinton pardoned him. So that kind of gives you some idea. But they all went through hell, even the guys that got reprimanded. They all didn't get the type of benefits that they should after they got out. But that's just kind of one example. But to be able to tell you, I got some stories about some of the others that got reprimanded. I've read their stories, so I do remember that one. And I guess the reason I remember that one so well is because Daryl and I are really familiar with this guy, Roger Terry. And I guess it just so happens that he's the one that ended up with the court-martial. So I can kind of relate and tell you exactly about that one. But there's more to it than that because the other people. And I'd have to show you the different articles. I think they got a whole chapter on all those guys that got reprimanded for what they did. But that was the gist of how they were treated coming back. And it just, I was appalled to see how, I'm trying to remember, you guys been in the Army 3 months and you're going to teach these guys that been, up in the air for 3.5 years? Now what is it you can tell them? Just kind of blew my mind. I guess the reason I can talk like it, because sometimes with my military experience that I've had in 20 years in the Navy, I have empathy for them because I've experienced some of the same thing. So I know they may kind of double talk you or give you some talk in between, but I know exactly what they mean and how they feel. So I would just go at my experience of how they felt from what I've told you, that my reading of articles and listening to some of the guys that flew.
This interview was conducted on location by Tracy Dominguez in San Diego, California, September 2012.